Judge orders the Trump lawyers to testify under oath about deportation flights. If you haven't heard this story, there were deportation flights of gang members. We were sending them out of the country, and a judge, for whatever reason, said that the flights shouldn't go on, that the invocation of this Enemies Act was not right, and so the flights had to stay on the ground or return. The White House says the flights were already out of U.S. airspace. Too late. We've already done it. And this is a fight I don't understand. For the life of me, I do not understand this fight. We can argue about who can come and who can stay. And I will tell you that there is a place where I will say it goes too far with deportations. Myself, I believe that. And we have good people here. We've got to protect the dreamers. We have people that have come here and been here for very long periods of time. We have people that have come here the right way and they've married American citizens. Those people should not be thrown out of the country. I agree with that. But there's no argument that if you are a known gang member, if you are here committing crimes, that you have no business in this nation and you should go. Well, this federal judge said that the Trump administration and his lawyers defied a court order, and therefore this judge is demanding that these lawyers show up in court. So I'm going to read just a very quick the beginning of this. A federal judge on Monday denied the Trump administration's request to call off a court hearing involving Donald Trump's use of a wartime law to deport hundreds of Venezuelan nationals and whether the White House knowingly violated the court order, an extraordinary effort that came just moments before administration officials were due to testify under oath. So the Justice Department's filing came shortly after the district judge ordered lawyers to the court for a fact-finding hearing involving Trump's use of the 1798 wartime-era Alien Enemies Act. The Trump administration, according to the judge, may have violated his earlier court order blocking the Trump administration from invoking the law to immediately deport these nationals. And these are gang members from Tren de Aragua. So this is an interesting time. Is this what we want to fight on? I will say to you, I completely respect the separation of the powers, that this is something that's important to our Constitution. I think that it goes beyond just this case. But if you've got people in the country, if you go back and look at the history of this, during the last few years, we were told that there were Venezuelan gang members taking over apartment complexes in Aurora, Colorado. We were told that was a lie. That wasn't true. We found out it absolutely was true. I have been privileged for the last few years of speaking, reading off awards and assisting at the ASGIA conference. And ASGIA is an acronym, the Arizona Gang Investigators Association. And there are cops from all over the world that come to this conference, but especially here in Arizona and neighboring states, and they're sharing intelligence and information and best practices and hearing the stories of what they endure and what they investigate and what dangers they face and their families face. They are facing off with the most dangerous people in the world. It is the closest thing to terrorists and organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah and ISIS. The closest thing we have in this country to that are the organized gangs. Not only are they murderous, but they murder and they do it to sensationalize and terrorize anybody that would be against them. If you live in their neighborhoods, you're either with them or you're against them. You may not be a gang member, but if you open your mouth, if you push back against, if you say anything negative, they will murder you and your entire family. And they'll do it in such a way that it sends a message. The violence of gangs like MS-13 and TDA, these gangs, it's not just that they have no concern for human life. If you remember the days of organized crime, the old days of organized crime where they would send a message with a murder, where they would murder someone and if it was over money and greed, they'd stuff money down their throat. I know this is a horrible topic, but when you look at these things and how they happen, these gangs have gotten a foothold in this country. We can argue, and we should debate immigration into this country and border security and the policies of the existing U.S. laws. But anybody who defends people like this in this country, you are so far off base. Is this a power struggle with this judge? This judge, I will tell you that I think it was a ridiculous thing for this judge to do this in the first place. Does that mean that they defied it? Were the jets out of U.S. airspace? Was it beyond his jurisdiction? I think all of that should come to light. I don't care who you are. You have to obey a judge's order. If the judge is wrong, the judge will be rebuked, and it will reverse his ruling under appeal. But we are a nation of laws. I believe all of that. But anybody that wants to stand up and fight these deportations, in my opinion, you're out of your mind. You are tying the hands of the people that protect us behind their backs. And you think you're doing it for noble reasons, but it really is because you just don't like this president. Anything he does, if he walked on water, you'd say it's because he can't swim. It's just how it is. So Tennessee officials are waging their own battle against members of this violent gang, TDA. And the Trump administration deported 240 of them to El Salvador. The Alien Enemies Act of 1798 allows the deportation of natives and citizens of any enemy nation without a hearing, and has been invoked 3 times before during the War of 1812, World War I, and World War II. So here's a quote. President Trump has the complete constitutional authority to deport criminal illegal aliens, especially the members of foreign terrorist organizations like Tren de Aragua, according to Marsha Blackburn, the senator from Tennessee. With his deportation of hundreds of gang members to El Salvador, the president is fully complying with judicial orders and upholding the rule of law. This is the conversation. How much power does the president have in this regard? Our Attorney General, Chris Mays, has put out more directives to schools and how to handle situations if officers enforcing immigration laws come on their campus. So in early March, the Resources for School website with a letter attached giving guidance to schools said it is neither legal advice nor a formal legal opinion. In the letter, the Attorney General says she's addressing a frequent question of whether school officials must allow officers in enforcing immigration law to enter non-public areas of school campuses. Most of her answers to that says in the letter, no. This is the one issue that has become so political and fascinating to me. Name another area. If a law enforcement officer goes to a school campus and says there's a criminal on campus, we have somebody that's an American citizen that is here on campus and they've committed a crime, we are going to arrest them. Nobody would even consider hindering that. Nobody's grabbing kids out of classrooms. Nobody's pulling kids out of the drop-off line at school or the pickup line at school. That's not happening. And yet the fear-mongering of, well, what if? It might. We've got to stop the politics of this.
Thanks for watching the Mike Broomhead Show. Catch up on Amazing Arizonans, a KTAR News podcast, and click the button in the middle to subscribe.